Welcome, everybody, to another edition of E.W. Jackson for President of the United States of America. Well, I've got a busy day ahead of me. This is Friday. I usually talk to you about our financial issues on Fridays, but before I jump into any of that, let me just say it is December, it's Christmas season, and we have been offering a copy of my book, signed and numbered, for any Patriot partner who signs up for a minimum of $25 or more a month. For the month of December only, as my Christmas gift to you, I'm going to send you a free copy of my book, to anybody who signs up as a Patriot partner for any amount. That means yes, literally, if you sign up for $1 a month as a Patriot partner, or 50 cents a month, or 25 cents a month, or whatever, I will send you a free copy of my book. Unless I figure out leftists are doing that to try to sabotage me. But for the most part, for all of my honest supporters and listeners and followers and so forth, any Patriot partner amount, I'll send you a free copy of my book. Now, for a lump sum amount, we're leaving it the same. We ask for a $300 contribution as a lump sum amount. Make your Patriot partner. We'll send you a free copy of the book. But for any monthly amount at any level, I'll send you a free signed and numbered copy of my book. I got a few that need to go out there. I think we're pretty close to caught up, but I do have a few that need to go out. But I will be able to keep up here in the month of December because, well, I'll leave it at that. So be sure you take advantage of that. And Merry Christmas, everybody. That's my little Christmas gift to you. The book retails at $29, and it costs us better than half that to produce the book. So we're losing money on the transaction, but I wanted to do something as a gift to you. And of course, I want people to read the book. That's the other thing. Obviously, the more people into whose hands the book goes, I think the more people are going to be positively influenced about the future of our country. And that's why I wrote the book, Sweet Land of Liberty, Reflections of a Patriot Descended from Slaves. Essentially, why do I love America, and why do I think everybody ought to love America, particularly Americans of African ancestry, rather than resenting the country over slavery, ought to have a different perspective and love our country. So hope you'll take advantage of that. Now, I've got two big things coming up in the next, 7 to, well, what's this? This is the first week of December. The next 5 to 7 weeks. Let me get it right. 5 to 7 weeks. In 5 weeks, we've got a Martin Luther King Leadership Breakfast that is coming up. And of course, for those of you who are in the Southeast Virginia area, and I would include that all the way from Richmond on down into Norfolk and Virginia Beach, it's the Chesapeake Martin Luther King Leadership Breakfast. It is a magnificent event. This is the 24th we are holding. We've done it 24 years in a row, and believe it or not, we even did it during COVID. And we had to scale it back, but we still did it because we just said we're not going to let these people stop us from doing what God has called us to do. So we did it. So an unbroken chain for the last 24 years, we have been holding the Martin Luther King Leadership Breakfast. I hope that you will participate and come. You can get tickets at thecalled.org, thecalled.org, or you can call us and we'll make arrangements to put tickets in your hands, or to have tickets waiting for you at will call. If you pay for them in advance, of course. You can call 757-485-7777. Very easy number to remember because you remember the area code 757 and remember the last 4 digits, which are easy, 7777. All you really need to remember is 485 is the 485 is the exchange, right? 757-485-7777 to call to get your tickets. Tickets are $35 for the breakfast. We're also looking for honorary committee sponsors, and those sponsorships are at 3 levels, actually 4. They're silver, gold, platinum, and then they're underwriter sponsors for the breakfast. We give out awards to leaders in the community, and we give out 2 scholarships to 2 worthy young people. This year, we're giving out a scholarship to a student from Oscar Smith and a student from Stonebridge, which is a Christian school. So we cover both the Christian schools and public schools. We used to do only public schools, and we didn't realize, wait, why are we excluding Christian schools? So we reached out, and now we're including Christian schools and academies in the process. So it's going to be a great event. 300 to 400 people show up. It really is a big crowd of folks coming together, and it celebrates our commonality rather than accentuating our division. And so every year we honor our police, our firefighters, our sheriff's department. We honor people across racial and cultural lines. This is not a black thing where we get together and honor the poor, victimized black people. This is about honoring those people who are serving our community, and their background really doesn't matter. What matters is their service. So people from every background get these Martin Luther King Leadership Awards we give out. We usually give out 7 or 8 of those. Actually, usually give out 6 or 7 of those, and then 2 scholarships as well. So usually about 8 people get the awards. Our guest speaker is an outstanding speaker and singer, by the way, Pastor Roger Cheeks. And if you've never heard this man speak or sing, you are in for a treat if you come to this breakfast. So come on out. It's January the 15th, Monday, January the 15th, at the Chesapeake Marriott, 725 Woodlake Drive in Chesapeake. You can get tickets at thecalled.org. That's THECALLED.org. Thecalled.org. That's the name of our church after Romans 8:28. We know that all things work together for good for those who love the Lord and are the called according to his purpose. So that's the second thing. So got the book and the Martin Luther King Leadership Breakfast out of the way. So now here's the third thing. On January the 27th, right next door, by the way, this happens right next door to the Chesapeake Marriott. That's the 725 Woodlake Drive. I think the actual address here again is 700 Conference Drive, if I'm not mistaken, but it's right next door. You get there the same way. Basically follow. I don't even know why it doesn't have a Lakewood. Well, I guess I know why, because the way the streets are configured. But on January 27th at 6 p.m. at the Chesapeake Conference Center, right next door to the Chesapeake Marriott, Andrew Womack will be coming for a great event sponsored by Stand right here, and my church right here, and me. Andrew Womack will be with us that evening. An evening with Andrew Womack is going to be a tremendous time, and I invite you to come. Now, we are asking people to register. Registration is free. There's no charge for this. But we are asking people to register so we know how many we can expect. So again, you can register either at standamerica.us at the website there, you can register, or you can register at thecall.org. Register either place. No charge for registration. We just want to know how many we can expect. That's going to be a great event. We're going to be praying for people. We're going to be praying for healing, praying for breakthroughs, praying for our country, obviously. And Andrew and I and his team are going to be there ministering. And he's going to be the main speaker, of course, but I have some things to say myself. So that's January the 27th. That's a Saturday at 6 p.m. You can get there easily from parts of North Carolina, Maryland, Virginia. In fact, my understanding is that Andrew has a team of people from around the country who follow him wherever he goes to try to help at his events, to try to be ushers, to be greeters, to be, you name it, just to get in there. There are people known to his team, and they get in there and help make the ministry work and they do it on their own cost. I mean, that's a wonderful thing too. It's a contribution that they make to his ministry, and God bless them for it. May they receive the 100-fold return harvest for the seed that they are sowing. So that's, again, Saturday, January 27th at the Chesapeake Conference Center. It's right next door to the Chesapeake Marriott. So the two events that I mentioned, the Martin Luther King Leadership Breakfast on the 15th, Andrew Womack event on the 27th, are really right next door to each other, literally. Within, you can walk out the door of one and see the other. I mean, so that's very easy to find, okay? Very easy to find. I hope you'll come to both. Okay, all right, gotten those matters out of the way. Next Thursday, December the 14th, I've got a major announcement. Please make sure that you tune in for that. Share this, tell your friends, hey, Bishop B.W. Jackson has a major announcement he's going to make next Thursday. Let's tune in and see exactly what he is. I want to talk to you about what I believe the future holds and what God intends for me from this point forward. So make sure that you tune in for that, and I'm looking forward to it, okay? All right. In the time that we've got left then, let me say a couple of things. One is that yesterday, I forgot to mention Pearl Harbor Day. I meant to, but it was in my mind, but it wasn't in my notes, and I got caught up in another direction. But I want to just pause again and honor our military people who fought so bravely in World War II after we were attacked at Pearl Harbor by the Japanese, and really brought us back from the brink, because you all know they practically destroyed our fleet in Pearl Harbor, but within record time we rebuilt our fleet and we were off and running, and we were in that war. And frankly, I don't know how many of you have seen this series called The Man in the High Castle, but it's a fantasy series about what if Hitler had won the war. Well, I really believe that without America, Hitler would have won the war. I believe that. Without America, Hitler would have had hegemony over a large swath of the world, and maybe even our country, had we not stepped up and said, you know what, we're going to fight him. If we had waited, for example, until he, in effect, conquered all of Europe, which he was on his way to doing, and probably would have ultimately conquered Great Britain had we not stepped in to support them, it might have been too late for us to be able to do anything about it. He might have been too powerful for us to actually stop him. But thank God we did. And Pearl Harbor, that vicious attack on our country, is what led to it. Now, I don't want to get into all the theories about what Roosevelt knew and what he didn't know and all that. I just want to honor the brave souls who lost their lives at Pearl Harbor, and those who stepped up afterwards and joined the war effort to help us defeat one of the greatest threats to our country that we've ever faced, which is Adolf Hitler and Nazism. Now, so having said that, let me also say congratulations and happy Hanukkah to all of my Jewish friends who, in spite of the world trying to annihilate the Jewish people and on many occasions in many different forms, the people of Israel and the Jewish people continue to exist and to thrive. And I want you to know that I stand with Israel. In fact, on Sunday, if you've seen my Sunday morning program at my church, you'll see in the backdrop a Stand with Israel banner that I had put up, because I want everybody who watches to know where I stand. I stand with Israel as a Bible-believing Christian. And I really believe that God gave that land to Israel. It belongs to them. It does not belong to the Palestinians. The Palestinians should go to Jordan or Egypt and go live under those governments. That land belongs to Israel. I do not support a two-state solution. I think a two-state solution is a suicide pill for Israel, because the Palestinians, Hamas, and even many Palestinians who voted for Hamas, wanted Hamas as their leaders, will never, ever agree that Israel has a right to exist. And so they will always be a threat to Israel's existence. So there should only be one state in the land of Palestine, and that is the Jewish state, Israel. That's it. That's all. But again, happy Hanukkah. Hanukkah began last night, actually, and goes to, oh my goodness, what is Hanukkah? Hanukkah goes from last night to Friday, December the 15th. I think it ends sunset Friday, the December 15th. But happy Hanukkah to all of our Jewish friends out there. God bless you. And every Bible-believing Christian in America, I believe, if they really are Bible-believing and they know what the Word of God teaches, stands with Israel. This one certainly does. Our church certainly does. Stan certainly does. And everything that I'm affiliated with does. Because if I find out that people are not willing to stand with Israel and they're joining in with this Hamas crowd and this pro-Palestinian crowd, I'm done. I'm out of it. I am not playing around with that. Okay. The Bible says in Genesis chapter 12, God told Abraham, I will bless those who bless you and curse those who curse you. And you shall all the nations of the earth, all the families of the earth, that is, be blessed. And by the way, I am an Abrahamic descendant spiritually, because the Bible says, if you are Christ, then are you Abraham's seed and heirs according to the promise. Not a replacement of the Jewish people, but grafted into the family, if you will. And every Christian is. So we are Abrahamic people. Okay? And we are in covenant with Almighty God through Abraham, who is the father of our faith, the scripture teaches. So I won't get any further into that, but happy Hanukkah to all my Jewish friends out there, and know that you have allies who are absolutely unswerving in their commitment and dedication to seeing to it that Israel not only survives, but thrives as a home for the Jewish people, where they can protect and defend themselves against the evil forces that seek to annihilate them. All right. So with those things now out of the way, let me get to an issue that I have been thinking about. It takes me right back to World War II. Van Jones and others, he just happened to be the person who most recently said it, has said basically that those who traffic in this, what they call the replacement theory, and their replacement theory argument goes like this. Here's what they accuse people like me of and people like you of. If you are opposed to illegal immigration and you believe that the Democrats and the leftists are using illegal immigration as a way of supplanting the American people with a group of folks who they feel they are likely to control and to have political hegemony over, so that they can take the country in the way they want to take it. And I'm giving you my own interpretation of this, but so replacement theory says, in effect, these people really kind of end up replacing, now they racialize it, white people, okay, to take over the country. Well, first of all, this is what the leftists and the Democrats are absolutely past masters at. I mean, they are experts at this, because they're like their father, the devil, and the deeds of their father they will do. He was a liar from the beginning, and the truth is not in him. And that's the way most Democrats and leftists are. They are liars. They've lied to themselves, they lied to others, and basically their whole lives are built on lies. So this is another lie. I am opposed to illegal immigration, not because I have any antipathy to people of brown skin. And as I've said before, Hispanics are not a race. Those are people who speak a given language, and because Spain colonized South America and Africans came to South America and indigenous people were already living in South America, Hispanic people run the gamut from African, of ancestry at least, to Aboriginal, or indigenous to European. That's why you'll see Hispanic people with blonde hair and blue eyes. And you'll see Hispanic people with dark skin and brown eyes. And you'll see Hispanic people with straight black hair and brown skin. And you know, I mean, it's going to vary all over the place. So Hispanic's not a race anyway. It's a culture. But leaving that aside for the moment, because, you know, leftists and Democrats never let facts get in their way, okay? Because you mentioned Hispanic, the brown people. I mean, no. Because Hispanic is not a race. It's a culture. And the people who are part of that culture happen to speak Spanish, but they can come from all ancestral backgrounds. And many, by the way, many countries, as you all know, like Brazil and I think Argentina, but there's some countries that are predominantly people with European ancestry in South America. Predominantly European ancestry. So, but at any rate, here again, leftists don't ever let facts and truth or history get in their way, which is, again, a testament to the fact that their consummate skill is lying, okay? The consummate skill of Democrats is lying. They are self-deceived, they lie to themselves, and of course then they lie to everybody else as well, okay? What I want to get to is this. I am vehemently, passionately opposed to illegal immigration. It has nothing to do with race. Now, there are two primary reasons I'm opposed to it, but then there's some others as well. Here are the two primary reasons. Number one, it is a violation of our sovereignty. America is a sovereign nation with borders, and those borders ought to mean something. But under these Democrat administrations and these Democrats, the borders don't mean anything. And it is the undermining of our national sovereignty to have wide open borders, which is what we've got now. We do not have a southern border any longer. We just don't have one. It's a joke. I mean, you know, you have one on paper, and we could talk about the southern border, but the border, there's no southern border. People are just coming into the country willy-nilly. So that's a violation of our sovereignty. Number two, it undermines the rule of law because these people are not supposed to be coming into our country, but because the Democrats, Joe Biden, the far left, are so committed to getting them here, they are willing to skirt the law, twist the law, avoid the law, create these asylum pathways that are real, that have nothing. These people are not coming for asylum. They're not escaping religious or political persecution. They simply want a better life, and they know a better life is available here in America. And look, and I applaud them for wanting a better life, but you can't come here like that. You can't simply cross our borders and enter the country and set this up as your home without going through the process that other legal immigrants have gone through, are going through, and will go through. Because I think there are probably fewer and fewer of them because they think, well, why wait in line for 10 years when I could just cross the border and they'll pass me in? I mean, why go through all that? It undermines our sovereignty and undermines the rule of law. I don't care what the color of the skin of the people. I wouldn't care. And by the way, we know these are not just people from South America. People are coming from 100 countries all over the world. They're of different backgrounds. We know Chinese are coming through. We know Eastern Europeans are coming. These people are coming from everywhere. I don't care what the color of their skin is. I don't care what language they speak. I don't care if they're Africans or they're Irish. I don't care. I care that America is a sovereign nation and we have borders that are supposed to mean something. That's what I care about. So now, those are the two main things. Let me get to this issue that's been raised against us, because it goes to what I was talking about with regard to World War II, how our people sacrificed to destroy one of the greatest threats to human liberty and dignity that the world's ever known, which is Nazism, Adolf Hitler and Nazism. They accuse us of being Nazis, and they say that the replacement theory is kind of a Nazi theory. I just gave you my reasons for being opposed to immigration. I'm brown skinned. So my reasons aren't racial. I believe 99.99% of the people who oppose illegal immigration do not do so because they have some kind of racial fear and animus. They think the same way I think. We are a sovereign nation. We have a rule of law that is supposed to govern us, and this is undermining it. And I think we're seeing the fruit of it. We're seeing this. Did you see this latest deal with this guy walks up to this grandfather pushing a baby stroller across the street and sucker punches him, knocks over the stroller, could have killed the man, could have injured the baby? We are sowing the seeds of lawlessness. You know, Hosea chapter 8 says, you sow the wind, you reap the whirlwind. Well, the left is sowing the wind of lawlessness, and we are reaping the whirlwind of chaos and anarchy. So that is, for me, those are the main reasons to oppose illegal immigration. But let's get to this issue of the replacement theory. So they say, we're saying that America's a white country, and you know they're trying to replace white people with non-white people, and blah 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 blah. See, this is why I say the Democrat Party and the left, their primary skill is lying. Because they use that patina to make people feel abhorrent. Oh my goodness. Oh, that's a terrible idea. I can't even consider. I can't even think about. Oh, that's so racist. But they use that as a way of having people turn off their thinking and run from the idea of protecting our sovereignty because they wouldn't want to be associated with a bunch of racists. Here's what's true about the replacement theory. The Democrat Party, because they have long since rejected God, and frankly, in my view, they have rejected America as a great nation of nobility and honor and a place worthy of preservation and protection and respect. I think they've given up that idea. The Democrats, remember, they're the people who have labeled patriotism as suspicious. You know, patriotism. Those patriots are dangerous. The most dangerous people are those patriots. They're Christian nationalists. Those mothers going to school board meetings. Those guys coming out of the military with a sense of duty to their country, who love the country and are concerned about the disrespect for the flag. They're potential terrorists. See, they've long since given up this notion of honoring our country. I've said before, when they elected Barack Obama was the first, and probably won't be the last, sadly. I hope he would be the last. But the first president, in my understanding of it, I would put Woodrow Wilson as close. But the first president who went so far as to really not like the country he was leading. That Barack Obama didn't then and doesn't now like America. He resents America. America's made him rich, America's made him famous, but, you know, America's treated him quite well. But nevertheless, he's a confirmed leftist. He's some combination of communist, Muslim, pancreatist, forgive me, that's a terrible mistake, pancreatist, pantheist. In other words, he follows all kinds of gods and philosophies and ideas, and I mean, the guys. Frankly, when you come right down to it, Barack Obama's he's a really weird person. He really is. He's a weird man. I mean, how many men can you think of, homosexual or not, who write a letter to a woman telling a woman about their fantasies about having sex with other men? I mean, yeah, so he's strange. He's weird. But his background is communism and Islam. Those are the two great influences in his life. Not Americanism, not American history. I mean, he was raised in Indonesia and Hawaii. I mean, Hawaii is obviously a state in our country, but it's very far from the mainland. You don't really get a sense of America in Hawaii. You really don't. You go to a place like Chicago, that's very different than Hawaii, right? My point is, they don't like America as it presently exists. And they can't persuade enough Americans to go along with their revolutionary ideas. Ideas like government can do whatever it wants to do. Government can spend as much money as it wants to spend. Gender isn't real. Homosexuality is great. Killing unborn babies is a wonderful thing. And order to go, oh, the flag is racist. The American flag is racist and triggers people. And I mean, all this crazy stuff. The Constitution should be disregarded because it was written by a bunch of racist white men who were slave owners. See, these are the ideas that they have about our country. They can't get enough Americans to go along with them to actually control the country, which is what they want. But I believe that they believe that if they can bring enough people in who are beholden to them, that they can ultimately exercise one-party hegemony over the nation. In other words, the Republican Party or any other party would become a dead letter, and that the Democrat Party, just like they do in California, Massachusetts, Illinois, where they basically run the state, run the country without any real opposition, and they can do whatever they want to do because there's nobody to stop them. Because through these illegal immigrants they bring in, they ultimately get them their voting rights, and they tell them, you know, you owe your sustenance, your welfare, you know, you get as many of them on welfare, you make as many of them as dependent as possible. You owe all of that to us, and therefore make sure you vote for us so that we can keep taking care of you. I mean, that's basically the lie they sold to black people. They don't tell them, we're going to destroy your educational opportunities, we're going to kill your babies in the womb, we're going to turn your communities into hotbeds of crime and chaos. We're going to destroy your families so that you won't even have a working male, female, husband, wife model of the family to rear your children anymore. They don't tell them all that. They just tell them, oh, vote for us because we're going to take care of you and protect you from the racists. And they're going to say the same thing to whatever groups who come illegally will buy into it. Hey, vote for us. We're going to take care of you. We're going to protect you from those vicious racists who didn't want you to come. Now, those who might say, people on the left would say, well, there he goes again. There he goes again. Now, that's a wild theory he's come up with. And so here's the way I would answer that with a question. Give me the rationale for what some estimate the up to 10 million illegal immigrants who have come into the country since Joe Biden took office. Now, there are different estimates on those numbers, but remember, I think we can document somewhere around 5 million, and some people believe that there's many who've come into the country that we can't document because they're what do they call them? They're getaways. They just came across at a point on the border where they never encountered Border Patrol. As opposed to reporting to Border Patrol, they just came on their own. And the notion that we've got 11 million immigrants is just, again, that's another big lie because they've been selling that lie for the last 20 years. The data shows we've got 50 million people in the country right now who were not born in America. 50 million. Folks, that's 15% beginning to approach, over 15%. That's beginning to approach the 20% threshold, which is called the Pareto principle. You get 20% of any organizational, financial entity. You get 20% of it under control. You can take that 20% and flip the rest. Control the rest. So explain to me, if it's not about ultimate control over the country, why are they doing it? You say, well, compassion for those people who are trying to get here. Okay, they're being trafficked by cartels. They're being turned into drug mules. They're coming here owing money to the cartels, so they're here as slaves. Many of them are criminals. They're exploiting and abusing women and children on the journey to get here. Many of them are drowning or dying in the desert because they don't have the sustenance, and they don't have the wherewithal, the ability, the strength to make the journey. Where is the compassion toward all the people who are being oppressed by the very process of coming here illegally? What about all the fentanyl that's coming across the border illegally? Do you notice they never address those issues? Because they don't care about those illegal immigrants, and they don't care about the American people. The only thing they care about is power. Power. That's all it's about. It's about power. It would be different if you heard a hue and cry. Yeah, people are coming across illegally, and we want to give everybody an opportunity to come to our great country. But we're going to crack down on these cartels that are enslaving these people and using these people as drug mules. And we're going to do what we can to stop these children who are being trafficked, drowning in the river, sexually abused, brought in and turned into sex slaves or slaves. I mean, we're going to put a stop. You don't hear them even talk about that. There's not even an acknowledgement of that. Why? Because they don't care. They don't want the American people thinking about that. If they cared about that, they'd put a stop to illegal immigration. They don't care about that. They care about power. Now, you can call it replacement theory. You can call it whatever you want. But the notion that opposition to illegal immigration makes you the equivalent of a Nazi, I find extraordinarily abhorrent and insulting and offensive. When our forefathers stormed the beaches of Normandy, gave their lives to stop Nazism, and the people like me who are standing up for our sovereignty and the rule of law are people who respect the Constitution of the United States and don't want anything but a constitutional republic of limited government, limited, specific, and enumerated powers by the government, not a government that takes control over your life and my life and does whatever it wants to do. And yet they call us Nazis. And they're the ones who want a government that just basically can do whatever it wants to do. Folks, that's called totalitarianism. That's called tyranny. But they don't, they look, you've got three different groups of people involved in this. You've got what Lenin and Stalin called the useful idiots, who they're just stupid. They just don't know any better. You know, like these people who are talking about Israel committing genocide against the Palestinians. It's the other way around. And the facts prove it. But they've been indoctrinated to think a certain way, and that's the way they think. So you've got those two types. The second group of people you've got are people who really think they're smart about this stuff. They think they have insight. And they believe the same way the useful idiots believe, but they think that they do so with real evidence. But all their evidence is a lie. It's just like when you see the top intellectual elites of the country, these university presidents, UPenn, Harvard, when asked, would you agree that calling for the genocide of the Jewish people is against the policies of your university? We've got to look at the context. What? Well, wait a minute. In what context would be calling for the genocide of the Jewish people be okay? So later on, of course, realizing how stupid they sounded based upon people kind of replaying their remarks. Oh, well, we're sorry. We didn't mean it the way it was taken. Yeah, see. But these are the people who think they know. You know, Jesus told the scribes and Pharisees, because you say you see, your sin remains. These are the people who think they know. They don't see themselves, not the useful idiots do, but they see themselves as well-informed, as having an enlightened position. Okay? And some of them probably see themselves as standing on that enlightened principle. But there's a third group. In my view, that's the George Soros group. I would probably include Barack Obama in this group. Some of these other millionaires and billionaires and highly influential people who know that they're selling lies. They know it. They're not. They know better. But once again, they don't care because they're playing for power, and whatever lies, whatever deception it takes to get where they want to go and to take the country where they want it to go, they are happily willing to engage. They are happily willing to tell those lies. You know, Jesus said to the scribes and Pharisees, he said, you go into widows' houses and make long prayers for pretense so that you can devour their houses. They knew what they were doing. They weren't fooled. They didn't think they were doing some great religious service that just got out of hand. No. They went in there with the full intention of knowing they're going in there to exploit and to take advantage of these vulnerable people. And there's some folks like that in that leftist group. They know exactly what they're doing and they're going to do it anyway. I mean, Bill Gates, he knows some of this garbage that they traffic in is just not true, but he doesn't care because he sees himself as a god presiding over the world, and he wants to reduce the population, and whatever it takes to get there, he's willing to do. And if people believe lies in order to get there, so be it. So be it. That's where we are, folks. That's what we're up against. We're up against people who know what they're doing and are just out and out liars in order to manipulate people for the purpose of power. People who think they understand because they think they're enlightened. They're the intellectually superior people in our country. And we ought to all listen to them. These are the people who gave us, there's no such thing as gender. These are the people who gave us critical race theory. And then they're just the useful idiots, the people that they have out there on the streets who are busy chanting from the river to the sea, thinking that they know what they're talking about. And all they are just are indoctrinated puppets. And some of those people, by the way, when they see the facts, they go, oh, well, nobody told me that. Yeah, right. And they have a change of heart. We are in a spiritual battle for the heart of our country. Make no mistake about it, folks. Make no mistake about it. Soros and conservatives have been criticized for criticizing George Soros because they say that's anti-Semitic. I say I didn't even know George Soros was a Jew. Well, guess what? Guess who George Soros is donating to? Not Israel. Not groups like mine and others that are standing with Israel. No, he's donating to the anti-Israel groups, the pro-Hamas groups, the pro-Palestinian groups. George Soros, that the left tried to shield by saying any attack on George Soros is anti-Semitic. I said, well, I didn't even know that George Soros was a Jew, but as far as I'm concerned, if George Soros is in fact Jewish, or he views himself that way, and I don't think he does, as far as I'm concerned, George Soros is closer to a Nazi than he is to a Jew. Because George Soros participated with the Nazis in collecting the clothing of Jews. He's admitted it and never repented for it. Never said, I regret that, I'm sorry. He said, somebody had to do it. It happened to fall to me. Pretended not to be Jewish in order to participate in gathering up the property and the clothing and the various things that were being left by those who were being executed. George Soros, criticizing George Soros as anti-Semitic. Give me a break. As far as I'm concerned, that's almost like saying criticizing Adolf Hitler as anti-Semitic. Because George Soros is he's closer to Hitler than he is to some Jewish leader. Because I don't think he even identifies as Jewish. He's pouring millions of dollars into anti-Israeli groups right now. And I don't think he's fooled at all. I mean, spiritually, he's demonically deceived. But I think he knows exactly what he's doing and exactly what he's shooting for. This is a man who wants a world ordered according to his own thinking, where he has power. Maybe more power than anybody else. He's a precursor to, he's too old to be the Antichrist. He'd be dead before the Antichrist is revealed. But he is a precursor to the Antichrist. He's the kind of person the Antichrist will be. And by the way, the Tides Foundation, and this is the last thing I want to say. I'm going way, way over. But this last thing I want to say, I'll say this and I'll end. The Tides Foundation, George Soros, and a bunch of other billionaires are giving millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars to these anti-Jewish, anti-American, anti-Christian causes. And I just urge Christians, particularly those Christians, all of us, no matter what our financial state is, but particularly Christians who are the millionaires and the billionaires in this country, you've got to step up. You've got to step up. I have to tell you, I get a little godly angry when I see an organization like Black Lives Matter be able to collect $100 million, and here's an organization like STAND dedicated to trying to save and preserve our country, trying to love people across all racial and cultural lines, trying to bring people together, trying to uphold the rule of law, support our police officers, trying to save the lives of our children, the Forgotten Children Project that are dying in the inner cities. And I'll tell you what, man, thank God for my faithful donors, but it's hard slogging. Because the people who are the billionaires, I don't have any billionaire donors, but the people who are billionaires like Jeff Bezos giving Van Jones, one of these people accusing us of being Nazis, giving him $100 million, those people aren't out there for the Christians. If they are, they haven't found me, or I haven't found them. I think that's one of the reasons why we're losing. Because our pastors won't stand up, and our billionaire and millionaire class haven't stood up sufficiently. I would urge you to be praying for them. I'm still believing God for $1 million donor. $1 million donor. And by the way, that would just be the first $1 million donor. I've had 2 dreams of somebody giving me a check for $1 million. I really believe it's coming to pass. And praise God for that person who is going to be the person to do it. God bless them already. God bless them. Because too many are unwilling. They're busy hoarding and holding on. And they don't realize you're going to lose it all anyway. If this country goes totalitarian or tyrannical or Marxist, you're going to lose it all anyway. You better sow some good seed now. And folks, we're doing all we can to save this country, but we could do so much more with more funding. So much more. So much more. I met with Senator Ted Cruz earlier this week. He and I had a private meeting, and he wants to help because he knows the work the Stand is doing is important. But even receiving help from somebody like Senator Ted Cruz requires money in order to take advantage of the things that he might be willing to do for us. You got to have money to put on events. You got to have money to do direct mail. You got to have money to do these things. So even to take advantage of the resources that we have requires more funds to do that. Go to our website, standamerica.us. If you want to give to the gospel side of things and the school, go to thecall.org. And if you want to help my presidential campaign to meet what expenses we do still have, and we do still have expenses, believe it or not, folks, go to the ewjacksonforpresident.com. But I urge you, give and it shall be given unto you, full measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over. God will cause it to be given into your bosom because the Lord loves a cheerful giver. God bless each and every one of you. I love you. I love our country. Most importantly, I love the Lord. He heard my cry And I am completely and totally sold out to him. For Christ I live, for Christ I die. And that's why I can say to you, because this is the way I believe we ought to live: stand up, step up, speak up, refuse to back up. Because we cannot be defeated if we will not quit. Because we are on God's side.